Welcome to the spoiler cast of Legend of Zelda Tears of Kingdom with the lovely Nick.
Hello.
He's nervous. And you got me, Jeff, and Nick. We have both finished the game. Listeners, viewers, we have both finished the game. We're going to talk everything, spoilers, so come back when you finish the story, because that's the first thing I want to talk about, Nick.
Okay.
I'll talk about the ending.
Okay, yep.
I don't want to say that to last. Nick.
Okay, let's get into it now.
I have finished the ending. I finished the game 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
You have done it 20 minutes ago. Please, you're hyped. You are ready. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. You have that adrenaline pumping. The ending.
Yes.
Do you think let's go? What do you think?
Oh, jeez. I feel like this is going to be a difficult podcast because you need to stop me when I just go off the rails and just keep talking, but...
Man, yeah, I know you will. That's why. But go for it.
I'm on such a high right now. I guess firstly, towards the end, I was a little bit disappointed that. I mean, I guess you told me where to find the fifth sage, and the story's like everyone's like, oh, they had an extra. Oh, Link, you have the sage already? Oh, why didn't you tell us? Wait, what? Zelda was a dragon all along? Wait, you're only just telling us this now? Like, because they're having this discussion, and I'm like, guys, this is all, 50 hours ago of gameplay news. Catch up. But, yeah, so did that, and then made my way to the depths, and fighting Ganondorf's army along the way. All of it was very easy, I guess. It wasn't hard at all.
Nick, you did have 500 diamonds on your side.
I did. We'll get to that. But yeah, it was really, really cool. I really enjoyed just the base Ganondorf fight. I guess Demon King base Ganondorf fight, because anytime you would attack him, he would do the slow motion dodge.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
did Phantom Ganon do that? I don't think so.
I think so. Yeah, he did. There were two forms of him did the slow motion thing.
Okay, all right.
But it was great because he'd dodge out of the way and then charge me, and I would every single time just parry his attack then, and then just mash the crap out of him. Fight didn't last very long, but that's men for you. Ganondorf didn't last very long, so.
Sexy rehydrated Ganondorf was he was gone before he even got time to shine.
Oh. You're absolutely right, and but boy did I call it! I called it as soon as they said that. Oh yeah, to swallow an eternal stone is to do this. Once I realized Zelda was a dragon, I messaged her. I was like, Ganondorf's gonna turn into a dragon.
To swallow a secret stone is a forbidden act.
And I messaged you straight away. I was like, Ganondorf is totally gonna swallow his stone, and you were like, then your message was like, like a reacting emoji back, and I was.
See, but how does Ganondorf know to swallow the stone?
I think because I don't know. He knew Zelda did it. I don't know. There are other dragons flying around. I don't know. I mean, there were spies in the midst with the Gerudo.
Anyway, let's keep going. So, rehydrated Ganondorf, sexy, beautiful, lovely man, turns into ugly, demonic Demon King Ganondorf. I'm just like, ugh, I don't like him.
I've got no problems. But whatever.
And I think the second half of the fight was kind of, it's been 2 weeks for me. It's kind of same. I think I didn't, probably harder.
Slightly harder, but again,
minions,
I
don't know.
Just died really quickly.
But then Nick, you defeat him. It's not over.
No. Epic dragon fight, and it was really cool. I mean, it was again one of those sort of really simple, obvious things, but it was. I think because I called it and I knew it was coming. I was like, oh, I was right. Oh, sweet. And then fly around and attack the weak spots. And it was cool. And the final plunge of the sword into his stone was cool. I really enjoyed that.
I just loved how you weren't controlling Zelda and the dragon, but it kind of felt like you were. And obviously every time you fall, the camera's designed in such a way that you don't see it dragging until you start falling, and then, swoops in and picks you up. And it's just so cool. So much better than, is it the Beast Ganon from
the first one,
Breath of the Wild? Way better.
But even I just
thought it was really epic, above the whole, above the whole universe, or essentially the whole world.
I almost like. Maybe it's I'm not sure what point it is to jump in, but like how good are the graphics? Just with like and all the processing and everything that they were able to achieve with this game.
It is a miracle. Like, you know,
Man.
every single thing is being rewinded or like tracked, right? So you can rewind it. Like,
Yes,
it's just
it's just unreal.
People just say like, "Oh, I can't play this unless it's 4K 60 frames per second." I'm like, this is fucking awesome. Like it looks great. Like you know what? You know, Ultra Hand sometimes if you just start it in a busy area, it stutters for like a second, but like whatever. Then it goes back to normal. And then like, you know, there's a couple slowdowns every now and then, like but like it's just like, you know, I played Star Wars, and that was terrible and janky, right? On a PS5 that fits like, you know, the PS5 is like the size of 10 Switches.
And I guess we might be forgetting how good Immortals looked, Phoenix Rising, because I feel like that game's probably the closest graphically compared, like the art style and everything, similar to Zelda. And yeah, that game looked amazing, but something about like just playing this game and it's on PlayStation 3 hardware. It's just unreal.
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. Like it's just unreal what this game was able to achieve with its hard and like that final boss fight and everything. It's just done so well, man. Anyway, so hey, we talked about the ending. Is there anything else you want to talk about now?
Well, I want to talk about the story, right, as well, before we go into all the gameplay stuff. Okay. So the story was okay. I know you mentioned this later. Like, everything Guardian has disappeared entirely. Sheikah what? Like, you know, that's all. That's Sheikah technology is all gone, disappeared from the face of the earth, except for the towers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And then, you know, Ganondorf is still underneath the castle the whole time. And then, you know, Zelda teleports herself back in time. The Master Sword needs to be re-healed, whatever. All really cool stuff, right? And, you know, like when the upheaval happened, you know, that's when all the caves appeared and when all the stuff from the sky started falling. But the whole Zonai, what the hell's the Zonai?
Yeah.
Did that really ever get explained? Like, they're an ancient race with secret stones, and why is everything in the sky?
I think that was just the technology that they made. Like, they just made more, you know, things to float in the sky. But I think weren't they friends with Din, Nehru, and Foror? Like the Guardian, or I guess the creators of the Triforce, creators of the...
Well, you know, I'm not going to go into different video Zelda games and timelines, and you know, cross-game timelines and stuff. But like the three dragons, obviously they've eaten secret stones too, right?
Yeah.
Like, who are they?
I don't know.
You know, what happened to Raru's, I don't know, family? Didn't really quite get all the stuff in the sky.
So that's because we're talking about a lot of, I guess, unknown stuff as opposed to things that we do know. So are you more disappointed about questions that weren't answered, or were you happy with the story? You sound kind of disappointed.
No, actually, you know what? I really liked the story, like the memory story. I thought that was kind of cool. Zelda kind of figuring out what to do. Well, she knew what to do or whatever. I think I was a bit disappointed we saw it. Like, you know, you can't see it in any particular order. But the order was, me and you saw it, was like Ganondorf like kicks ass straight away, right? Like, you know, takes over and stabs Mineru. Oh, sorry. Who's the girlfriend, the wife?
Yeah. Raru, is it? Yeah. Mineru is
Raru's wife.
Yeah.
I've forgotten her name.
That's right. Moving on.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I think I liked it, but I wanted more explanation about all the sky stuff and all the Zonai powers and stuff. Like, just,
you're not wrong. There were a lot of unanswered questions, but I guess, you know, that's the nature of the beast of the story that we're dealing with. It's just it's so expansive, and there's so many
video games.
Yeah,
like, you know,
there's so many other questions that we could go into of like, what about this? What about this? What about that? But the stuff that we know and the stuff that we did get to see, it was just so cool. Like going around and exploring, getting the tiers of the kingdom, as it were. And each time wondering what that memory will be, and then seeing it all play out, and it's sort of like the first one, seeing all the pieces of the puzzle put together. And it was a little bit disappointing to see like a couple of the final pieces at the start and then getting the rest of it later on, because that piece with Ganondorf killing his wife was really exciting, and to then have all the rest of them just sort of be leading up to that point, I guess it were. But no, I still really enjoyed it. Like the overall story is, I think, the best of any Zelda game ever.
Oh yeah, I think so for sure.
Yeah, and the voice acting this time much better all around. I think not as cringy this time. I think everything
there
like
was
that.
only one sound effect voice that I hate,
And
it is Tulin's wind power.
woo, yeah. Anytime you
Because I use that all the time, like non-stop. It's just
yeah.
well, I don't know if it's him making a noise or just the sound effect, but like that's the only noise I didn't enjoy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I really did not enjoy that noise either, because as you jump off something and you fly around, wait for it to recharge, woo, and then wait for it to recharge again, woo. Oh god, yeah, I agree that was a very annoying noise. Anyway, yeah, I really enjoyed the story. I think, I don't know, that's the only thing maybe that still doesn't really stack up for me comparatively to games like God of War, which I guess I want to talk about that a little bit later on, comparatively with story-wise. But man, as far as gameplay goes, this game is just phenomenal. But let's talk about the start. So gameplay-wise, very, very different from the first game.
I got one thing I want to rant about first, right? Before we get into the start. Like,
Okay.
Sorry, I put it there, but like, this game sucks, Nick. Like, this is probably like one of the crappiest things that has ever happened to me as a Nintendo fan.
Why's that?
Nothing can live up to this moment and this game. Like, it's impossible. Everything else is ruined. Every other Nintendo game just won't be as good. The hype for any other game won't be as good. Every other game is just like a letdown, because this game is just so phenomenal and just like blew all my expectations out the water. Like, I'm a bit sad. Like, I'm coming down from that high, that ultimate high, that build up of knowing nothing to playing it and like, being absolutely incredible. And now I played it for 2 weeks straight. I'm still playing it, but I'm coming crashing down, Nick, and I'm never going to be able to get that high again playing.
This almost sounds like I feel like that's closing comments for the game. Like, that sounds a little bit like closing comments. I'm just like, you're right.
Like, and I think you didn't want to finish the game, right? We want to do this spoiler cast. I want to do it sooner.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, I don't want to get to the end. I don't want to get to the end, because the end, like, it changes you.
No, the end is still at the end. There's like, you've just been pushing me to do this spoiler cast, and it's not the end for me. I know I've still got a couple weeks of playing this and getting the rest of the shrines and all that sort of stuff ahead. But yeah, you're right about just that hype of what this game is, and like having Breath of the Wild being the beast that it was, and then knowing that this, like, to try and live up to and exceed those expectations of the first one, is just like, what a pedestal to be put on. And it blew it. Yeah, you're right. It blew us out of the water. And comparatively to every other Nintendo game, like, I mean, I don't see Metroid Prime 4 coming out and blowing our minds off, or Pikmin 4 coming out and blowing our tiny little minds off. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not to that level, and like this level of like zeitgeist hype between watching your Switch friend list, 25 people or whatever, all playing the same game. Everyone on social media, like, I remember that time in Breath of the Wild, you went to one of the snow mountains and you found the ice dragon, right? Yeah.
And you're like, go here. And then like, I've got to go there. And then like, you discover this cool thing. Like, I just felt like that moment just continued on, like, this entire game. And then, I would tell you to go to places, but like, no, I'm so busy being distracted and having fun over here instead. Like, yes,
there were things that I wanted to do, and there were things that you did that I'm glad I did in a different order, in a different way. Just quickly fix up your camera, do the hand thing.
Yeah, I thought it got.
There we go. That's better.
That's better. Cool.
You were getting a little bit blurry. I was waiting for it to fix itself. But anyway,
let's go, Nick. You want to talk about the first moments of the game?
Yeah, so I guess mechanically we were talking about before just how different this game is from the first one, and it was kind of a little bit like what the we had with Resident Evil 4. Like we knew Resident Evil 4, and then playing the remake, we're like, oh, we don't know this game. And I had the same feeling starting Breath of the Wild. You're like, oh, it looks like Breath of the Wild, it smells like Breath of the Wild, it tastes like Breath of the Wild. This is not Breath of the Wild. And yeah, so do you want to tell me about like your first few hours experience on that island?
Yeah, I guess like the starting area was much longer than the Great Plateau. I think I was there for 4 hours. I played at midnight. Dropped Star Wars. Still need to go back to that.
Yeah,
and I think I went to bed at 4 a.m. and I think that's when I landed on Hyrule. Yeah,
right.
Hyrule. So I'm like, cool. Yeah, I think it's like time to go to bed. And it was fun because you were restricted, right? You didn't have the paraglider, so you had to sort of learn how to use everything. And you know what? It was really good. It was kind of a bit tedious as well. You're like, oh, I just want to go explore everywhere at once. But then you feel like, oh, I stacked a whole bunch of logs up together because I couldn't really figure out any other way to do it. I wonder if this is what everyone else is doing, you know?
And it was probably both did.
Most of us did that way. But it was so fun, like, is this the right answer? Like, there was never like that, aha, yes, I used the puzzle to put it in the slot to solve the problem. Like,
yes.
It was just like, I think that's right. And then that's how, like, to me, that like the rest of, the next 25 hours went.
Yes, you're right. And I think that's how it went for me too. There was a kind of, you're just sort of you get Lego blocks in this game, I think, and that first starting area, I'm like putting these pieces together. And I'm like, is this right? I'm like, well, I'm getting from A to B. I don't know if that's how I was supposed to get there, but I did it. And then eventually just figuring out
the lake, right? So there's like at the starting area there is like a small stream you have to cross, and then there's a much larger lake sort of stream thing. Yeah. How did you go with that, if you remember?
I just built a little boat and then made my way across. I remember you said you had. I remember you had like an issue with that. You like lost the boat or lost the pieces or something.
Yeah, well, like, I made a first boat, failed, and then the second boat, something happened, and the boat kept going, and I wasn't on it.
All right.
And I had used the two lots of material that was there, so I had to get one of those giant square floating platforms from like a nearby mini boss area.
Yeah, and
I just sort of slowly moved it all the way across, and I'm like, this was not the right thing to do.
Well, again, like they give you the tools to solve the puzzle however you want, and there's dozens of ways you can solve every problem in this. And towards the last 20 hours of gameplay, as soon as I've entered a shrine, like if I can just rocket and glide to the end, I've skipped so many shrines because I'm like, I've walked in and I'm like, okay, well I can see what the puzzle's supposed to be here. Nah, stuff that. And just rocket to the end. Like, nah, that'll take time. But yeah, I feel like the entire first area, I think I was about the same. I spent about 4 hours there, and it's just one big tutorial, but it's the best tutorial I've ever played. And in itself, like, man, it could be its own game. Like a small little indie developer, like you add a final boss there and then put a few more little, I don't know, treasures or things to find on that first island or the first area, and you've got a whole full 10-hour game there of just just there.
Right. Like, I didn't explore everywhere on the Great Sky Island, and Nick, I haven't been back.
I haven't been back either.
I think I've teleported back to jump off.
Yep.
But I haven't gone back to re-explore, and like I don't know why, if there is a reason to or not. But yeah, I probably could go back and talk to Ghost Raru, maybe not.
I guarantee by the time we're done with the game, we'll go back to that island and there'll be some sort of big secret there of like, oh my god, there'll be something there that we were like, we left this here all along. But so
Nick, you get to the ground.
Yes.
We went different ways.
Didn't you go straight underground pretty much?
Oh well, I got the paraglider and you didn't.
I mean, I faffed around for an hour and then I went and got the paraglider.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
But yeah, I got stuck. Like I don't know. Like the big secret of the game is the depth, Nick. Like
Yeah.
I felt like that was the big secret. That was like, well, I didn't know about it right at all.
No, neither did I.
It didn't get spoiled for me, and it took a long time to realize it was almost the second Hyrule map in reverse, or inverted or whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that for quite a long time.
Right.
Just because I just kept exploring all of it, and I think it was just I was having so much fun, and I didn't care that I was dying continuously against enemies. And it's hard mode because everything's dark. You're constantly losing hearts permanently.
Yeah.
I discovered so many like secrets, I guess, that I couldn't access. I'm like, oh, I've already been here or discovered that before, like a story or side quest sort of sent you that way.
Yeah.
Which I felt was really cool. Like I felt like, yeah, been here. I've already I can just teleport. Save time.
Yeah. I feel like I'm kind of the same. Like once I started the game, I spent maybe the first. I don't know, once I got to the ground, I spent 5-6 hours in the underground until I got the auto create or whatever it was. What's it called?
The auto build, yeah.
The auto build. And then I jumped out of there and didn't go back for probably another 20 hours, I think. And so by the time I did finally go back, the underground was easy because at that point I had 10 hearts, 12 hearts or something like that. And it was just exploring then. And once I understood how the exploration is supposed to work under there, easy. Heap of fun. And you're right, just another Hyrule. Just another Hyrule. And I think it was exploring that first, 3-4 hours under there, I'm like, oh, this is just as big as Hyrule. Like, what the hell? They've built an entire underground as well? Oh my god. And it was around that time I got a message from you and you're just like, they didn't need to go this far. And you're right, but they did. And it's, boy, is it fun under there. Just the whole thing.
Like once you get so good at the game, you can glide around everywhere, right? Really fast. And I've just been doing like some of the snow area. Wow, that was like the last area for me to uncover. I'm like, oh man, these mountains are going to be like, because they're so high, they're going to be so low. And like they're like, we just put a giant boss area here instead. Yeah. I really enjoyed it.
But how do you feel about talking about the sages? Do you want to? We'll get to the next bit. The sages.
So what I call them my ghost buddies. Like that's how I feel.
What order did you get them in?
You know what? In Breath of the Wild, like I feel like the game probably gears you towards Zora's Domain because I think that's like the Mipha's blessing, Mipha's grace that we get like double life essentially. I felt like I avoided that completely in Breath of the Wild. I never went there first on all playthroughs. So I'm like, I'm gonna go to Zora's Domain.
Okay.
Seeing my boy Sidon married or engaged or whatever, I'm like, you just broke my heart. But I thought Sidon was actually really neat. And then I guess we're talking about the characters.
Just what order you got them in? So Zora?
Zora, and then you told me to go to, and then I kept reading all the tips that it says go to the Rito Village.
Yep.
Then I did Lightning Area, Gerudo Desert.
Yeah.
Then I did the Depths, Mineru's one.
Yep.
And then the last one was Goron City.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go.
What about you?
I did the Ritos first, then I went east to the Gorons, then I got Sidon, and then from there went to the Depths, and then I did the Gerudo last.
So we both got Mineru like before the end.
Yeah, well, I mean, only because you told me to. You were like, you just kept messaging like 3-4 messages a day, being like, "Stop what you're doing, go here. Stop what you're doing, go here. Stop what you're doing, go here." And eventually, I was just like, "All right, I'll freaking go there. Leave me alone."
We should talk about that as well. But keep going.
I guess like you said, you want to talk a little bit more about the sages.
Yeah, well, I guess like what about their powers was sort of they're very different than Breath of the Wild, right?
I hate them all.
I liked it at first because, well, like Sidon was like an extra fighting buddy, right? It made fighting enemy when I had one. It made fighting enemies easier, and Sidon, he's just like you, right? Just around, just bashing people, and he powers up your sword, like, super water attack power. I'm like, cool. And that's all I had for a long time.
Yeah.
And then it got Tully, and, oh, cool. Great. Movement ability, great. I was like, oh, what? This does not go vertical? Like, instantly.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So
much inferior.
Then I realized they're all like got their own thing. Like, you know what? It's my most used ability in the game.
Yeah.
Like, gets you around way faster. Like, I'm not dissing it. But then all the other three, I think I sort of enjoyed a bit less. And then there's more people around all the time.
So they clutter everything up big time.
Yeah, they just clutter. Yeah, they clutter is the right word. And then I loved Mineru, and I'm like, holy shit! Like, you got a fucking mech. They added a mech to this game. Like, they didn't have to do that, and like that was really cool, right? But then afterward, this mech's in the way all the time. Like, I accidentally
all the time.
Like, the other ones are cool. They activate, a boost of power or knock your stuff away, right?
Yeah.
But the mech is like, halting your gameplay, and I'm gonna hop in it now, and it's like a weird button combination to get out of it as well.
Yeah.
And then it's too slow. Right?
Yeah.
Like, the movement of the mech is too slow, and you can't jump.
Yeah.
So it's kind of frustrating.
I agree.
And then the Goro guy, he just like the plane, the mission when you fly around in the plane with him. Cool. Wow, that's so awesome.
It was awesome.
I didn't need that on my vehicle
every
other time. Never after that. And it's just in the way.
Yes. No, I couldn't agree with you more. I really enjoyed the excitement and hype of having getting just one. I'm like, oh my god, this is so cool. And then the second one, I'm like, oh yeah, cool. Like the Goron, he's okay, I guess. I felt like anytime I came across a big wall of rocks, I'd use him and be like, yeah, go on, blow into him. And he'd sort of take out like 3 or 4. I'm like, oh, now I gotta wait for his ability to recharge and use him again. Like, I feel like it wasn't destructive enough. But at the same time, you're right. I feel like the Rito and the mech was so annoying. The amount of times I'd be like, I'm gonna pick up this item, woo, and it just blows them away. Or you're fighting and you accidentally jump on the mech, and you're right. It was always like, oh, that's right. It's like B and then jump and then to get off the damn thing. But I do want to tell this story because I remember I messaged you a bunch of times saying I really want to get Wolflink. I want Wolflink in this game. Like, why Wolflink not in here? And then you're like, oh, and I was really close. You're like, don't worry, there is kind of a similar thing. I'm like, oh, what does that mean? And my mind went to, when I learned that there was a time travel element with Zelda going back, and I was like, are we gonna get different links in this game? And am I gonna get like Skyward Sword Link? Am I gonna get? And that's like when we have a Sage of Time, I thought at one point we'd have different links come into the world, like I don't know. Anyway, and then
universes.
And then I got my bird and I was on my way to the Sky Temple, and then you shared a video of like you doing something, and it had the Zora, it had Sidon in ghost form, and because mine was alive, it wasn't in ghost form. I'm like, oh, because I worked at that point. Like, oh, cool, sweet, I get a companion, that's awesome. But then when it was swelled, I was like, oh, Sidon's dead. I was like, Jeffrey, remove that from the chat immediately, because Jake doesn't know about the companions. Jake doesn't have any companions, and thirdly, Sidon's dead. Oh.
You know what? After that point, like every single screenshot and video, like when we're sharing in the group chat and stuff, I'm like, oh. The ghost buddies, and like, because no one had the mech for quite a long time either. Like, the mech's a super secret, right?
Yeah, you're right, yeah.
like I'm just like, oh, and I had to delete something. So
yeah. So initially,
I laughed when you knew that he thought he was dead. I'm like,
yeah. Well, that was the first and only time I was mad at you because I was like, he spoiled that like Sidon's dead. Oh, and then when I completed the temple, I'm like, oh, mine's now in ghost form. He's not dead. He just has the Zora one. Right. Okay. But yeah, boy, was I mad at you for a minute.
I'm sorry. I was really shocked to learn, like, once you got like the second buddy, I'm like, oh, I don't have to choose. Like, they're both out. Like, and like the Switch can handle both of them out.
Yeah, yes. Another thing, yes.
I'm not going to say the Switch can actually handle 5 of them out, but
yeah,
like it does.
It does, yeah. And I was the same thing when I got a third one. I was like, oh, surely I'll have to choose like 2. Oh no, I can have all 3. Oh, I can have all 4. I can have 5. Oh my god, but they all suck. I feel like they're all like, once you got like 5 on the screen, they're all very cumbersome and very annoying and.
And I just don't feel like they, except for those final battles, right? I just feel like in combat, I don't need your help.
No, definitely not.
I like your abilities, but you don't like. Oh, they killed that enemy for me.
Yeah,
like it just doesn't really feel that way.
And occasionally the Rito would shoot like a weak spot with his, with his bow and arrow, and so like he was probably the most useful in combat again. But
he doesn't get in the way generally.
Yeah, he generally doesn't get in the way unless you're trying to pick up an item. But yeah, you're right. And then the mech is just so big, and you're trying to attack enemies, and he sort of wanders in front of the screen or shoot, and then you're like, oh, fucking. But yeah, I still enjoyed the Sages for the most part, and I like this story. I just think having the 5 on screen, like I regularly would turn them all off until I'm like, oh, I need this stupid idiot's ability. Woo! And start flying again.
I never turned them off. I kept them on the entire time, and I know I could have turned them off, but I felt like everyone was kind of useful except maybe Riju's. Actually, no, the mech was kind of useless after its
initial fight.
Yeah, because I felt like, for it to be powerful, didn't you really have to fuse like items to its like arms?
No, I just gave it cannons all the time.
What?
You didn't put cannons on its arms?
I never put cannons on its arms.
Oh, well, you know how I told you, like, when I come across a blockade of boulders and I was using the Gerudo and he would do nothing because he wasn't destructive enough, I'd just jump on the back of the mech with 2 cannons and just...
There's a cave in the Gerudo area that is the most rocks. I'm guessing you maybe not have done this one. It's the most rocks ever in the entire game, right?
Right.
Just loaded with rocks. Not like the never-ending intertwining cave in Hyrule Fields in Castletown. Like, no, this thing is just rocks. And like the Goron guy, you're right, it takes too long. But the mech, once you like pour boulders on its arms and it just smashes everything.
Yeah.
I actually never got tired of destroying rocks. Like, it's still fun.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was fun too. Let's see. What do we want to talk about next? There's so many things. I mean, we've still got 5 minutes left in this before we quit it off. Is there anything we could sort of smash out in a couple minutes before we take a break?
You know what? Koroks.
Koroks?
Did you like them?
I liked them even less in this game, I feel like. Just like knowing that they made a comeback and it's still the exact same as Breath of the Wild. I've talked to you so many times. I have so many complaints with that system and I would see them, and even the ones that are like easy, just a little sparkling thing running along the ground and you just got to hit A to get it. I would just run past and be like, nah, I don't care. I do not care. And I think I sent you the messages before we started. I got like 80 out of the whole game, and I've played 90 hours.
Like 80 is enough. I think I got 120. Like last Breath of the Wild, I reckon I got 200 or 300.
Yeah, same.
Naturally,
same.
so I got even less, and obviously I've got all 900 in the other game, in the original game.
Yeah.
So like I know what to look for. The buddy Koroks.
Yep.
You know what? I didn't enjoy those unless it's like, hey, my buddy's down here. I'm on top of the hill. You can roll me down the hill. Like, if it was somewhere up, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to build. I don't want to build something for you for 2 Koroks. Like, I've got enough.
Yeah.
But Nick, actually, unless you're done with Koroks.
We can still talk about it a little bit more. Like, again, I just ran past them all. So many of them are just like, I don't want to talk to you. I had to be in like a special mood yeah.
I like all the ones where it's like, make the circle. Yeah, I like the mini Korok puzzles. I didn't enjoy the ones where you got to move them.
Right.
Because you got to build something, right? But like, I just want to slightly diverge while we got 3 minutes.
Yeah, go ahead.
I like building Hudson's signs to stay up. Like, anytime I saw that, like, I have to stop everything and help you. And it's like, she's standing. She's standing. Even his prompt, like when you fail, it like I reckon that takes 15 seconds of your time to like reset the game or whatever. And you're like, oh, I failed, but I still loved that every single time.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. What a great way to finish our first sort of segment. I guess before our first break. Yeah, you're right. The Korok suck. Those signs were so much. Every time I saw him standing there, I'm like, well, it doesn't matter what I was doing. Zelda's, drowning, about to die. I'm like, hold on, I just got to get this. I got to fix this sign. Just hold on, Zelda. I'll be right back. And then you're right. Fix whatever little Tetris blocks you got to put in there to make it stand up, and then you're just like, try letting go. She's still standing.
I love that it's like, no matter where it was, like, Death Mountain, Hebra Snowfield, crazy desert winds. Like what is that thing over there? Like, I'm just gonna go investigate. I'm like, oh, it's him. Yes, let's go.
So, question as far, spoiler cast, but like, has there been an ultimate payoff for you yet for getting those? Have you found like
I don't think so. Every reward is still 20 coins, like at this stage, like some sort of rice ball, like sort of unique food, which at the start of the game, I think 20 coins was valuable.
Yeah, you're right, yeah.
And the food was useful, and I think a sleepover ticket. So it hasn't changed yet, but I every time I see one, I still enjoyed to go do it. I can't stop.
Yeah, you're right. But that's the thing. I don't know if there's an overall reward yet for doing all of them. I don't know if there's, if that's another tick box. We'll have to go through and find them all and mark them all off. But it's so much fun. I really, really enjoy it. Like, so much better than the Koroks. Oh, but obviously much less of a reward. But I think that leaves us here for our first. We'll take a quick first break and we'll be right back. What do you reckon?
More distractions of the kingdom.
We'll be right back. And welcome back to the Nick and Jeff Spoilercast. We're talking Tears of the Kingdom, and we are getting straight back into it. What do you reckon, Jeffrey? How about we talk about? We've talked a little bit about the underground.
Read my mind, Nick.
Oh. You want to talk more about the underground? That's at least the next thing on the topic list.
Let's go underground. Yep, that's fine.
Yeah, just, I guess, talking more in depth about the depth.
In the depth.
Tell me about your journey through the depths.
Well, I think I initially I was scared. I'm like, man, pitch black, like dying, goop everywhere. Like, this is really difficult. Like, oh, why would I want to do this, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, it was just that sense of, I wonder what's just over there. Like, I can just see some flickering lights. I can't stop myself. Like, just see what's next. And so I didn't know you could throw items for quite a while. Because most people would explore all the shrines around Castle Lookout Landing or whatever. Yeah. I didn't do a single one of those, right?
Right. Okay.
So I missed a lot of basics of the game.
Yeah.
But so I thought you had to attach a bright seed or whatever to an arrow.
Yeah.
And I'd always run out of arrows or bow and arrows, so that's when I would stop exploring.
Yeah, we both made that same mistake. Yep.
But like it was really addicting, and I didn't really care to fight the enemies too much at the start. Like I just wanted to get to that next the light. What are they called? Light seeds.
Light seeds. Yeah.
Roots.
Light
roots. Light
Yeah.
roots. Yeah. And like just always being able to like, oh, I can just see the next one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then like the Yiga battles with like Master Koga, like what is this? Like this funky little mech battles, like
Yeah.
it was actually really like interesting and like, you know, totally different. And then, you know, when I had auto build so early, like I'm like, and then I guess, you know, I would just always keep exploring. Like I'd find a new chasm. I'm like, yep, I'm going down. And then I never came across the black, you know, the solid black walls, which are rivers, for like quite a while. And just, it was just always so fascinating, and so always so frustrating when you'd be stuck all the way down. And you're like, I'm just going to climb. Just going to climb. And you're like, it took me so long to realize, like, you're playing this game wrong. Like, you need to build something, use a spring, use a balloon, like, and I would just never. I'd be too stubborn.
Yeah.
I would never do it like at the start.
Yeah.
And then, you know, eventually, you know, I'd use a hot air balloon, and I'm like, whoa, I could not have climbed all that because this literally goes like, you know, to the roof forever.
To the ceiling. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, it was really fun, and you know, it took me a while to discover the gameplay loop of caves, let you explore the depths a lot further. The depths give you Zonai, which lets you build vehicles and stuff, which makes exploring everywhere else easier, and like, you know, doing that loop.
Yeah.
So it took a while to discover, and I was just having fun.
Yeah.
The second, like, you know, once I knew what I was doing, you know, 80 hours later or whatever.
Yeah,
but,
you're
what
right.
about you?
Yeah, you're right. It takes some time to understand. I think like where I am at now, like 90 hours of the game, I feel like I fully understand and comprehend and have mastered traversal and exploration in Tears of the Kingdom. And you're right that the first 30 hours, I think, exploring, 40 hours exploring. Especially like the underground section, it is pitch black in there. It's not like you can turn the brightness up on your TV and you can make your way through. No, it is pitch black. You need bright bloom seeds, and you need we thought we needed arrows for a while until I messaged you after doing that shrine. We're like, oh, you can just throw stuff. But you're right,
Nick. I want to distract you just for a second. You know, this is the whole game. Like, you know, there's heaps of, you know, graphics, Switch sucks or whatever. Like, here's the graphical breakdown of Tears of the Kingdom. And none of them talked about the depths. And I just thought the lighting was so cool down there, right?
So
like,
clever, right?
Pitch black, you know. And like you throw bombs or whatever, or like the Goron guy, like everything
Flash.
like has all this awesome lighting effect down there. That's just like, it's so cool.
Yeah, you're right.
And the light seeds are permanent, right? Whenever you put one, it stays there for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry, keep going how you're exploring.
And you're right, yeah, it's something about just when you're right, when you get that auto build, like making my way, exploring there for the first few hours, start bumbling around in the darkness, and then finding the auto build, and then I exited out and didn't come back for ages. But when you fight Koga the first time, I feel like that really opened my eyes massively wide to just how much I wasn't ready for, or just how much more I had to learn about building vehicles and just the, you know, combining things together, component, and then how the auto build works and getting materials. And I'm just like, man, this Koga's got this awesome death machine he's driving around, and I know that the game's giving me the tools.
What's that Australian desert Mad Max style?
Yeah, Fury Road.
Vehicles?
Yeah. But yeah, so like the game has given me the blocks to make these kinds of things, but I don't know what I'm doing. And now towards the end of the game, I've made some really cool killer robots and cool vehicles, and obviously everyone who's watching this would have seen some of the crazy stuff that people have made online, which is so funny. But after sort of getting my bearings, and I had 2 batteries for probably 40 hours of the game, and after you were like, you only have 2 batteries, I went back and I rectified that, and I've now maxed out the battery. But it reached the point where once someone told me you can duplicate the Zonai items as well, that is when the game, I think, truly and ultimately completely changed for me and felt complete. Because anytime I wanted to get anywhere, I'd get on my glider, I would bring out a bird, 3 fans, 2 rockets, and a joystick, and combine them all together so that the rockets would send me straight up, and then the fans would activate, I'm on the joystick, and I would just fly everywhere. And that was how I explored 80%, 70% of the underground depths. So I'd activate the light root seed, fly up on the rockets, and then just look for the next one and be like, yep, over there, and just glide over everything.
Isn't it also cool, like how sometimes the light roots would be hidden as well? Like obviously they're hidden, the shrines are hidden above ground, but even sometimes below ground. Like it just like how did you know that I would come in from this angle, and just by chance I just saw it at this glimmer, or like when you're down low, you're like, where is it? And you can't see it until you get high.
Cause, you're right. Because I'm just amazed at the pitch blackness down there. Because you're right. Like other games where it's dark, you can turn up your brightness and see. Doesn't matter what you do here. If you haven't got light, you are not seeing in the depths. It is darkness down there.
Nick, I like the depths so much, right? And I've spent so many hours straight away. I got the mining gear, or the gear that has all the lights all over it, and the world's ugliest Link mask, which I hated, but I wore because when I had the entire set, anytime obviously I'd light up just walking, but any footstep anywhere would leave a little mini light, so you could see where you went, and it just made exploring really really easy.
I think by the time I found all the armor pieces, I was already like flying around in the depths, and so leaving the footprints behind. I'd gotten beyond the point of walking everywhere, and I'm just rocketing everywhere and riding on my bikes and vehicles and helicopters and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, like I really enjoyed. Yeah, I really enjoyed exploring the depths, and I think it was maybe 30 hours in where you told me it's a mirror of the above ground. So anytime there's a shrine above ground, that's where a light root seed is underneath. And I'm like, oh, that explains why I keep running into these walls, because I wasted hours running along these walls, being like, where's the gap to run through to wherever? Nope, it's sectioned off.
And because every light root, like I had never fully lit up. Like, despite how many I did, for the first 40 hours, I had never fully lit up like an entire island around, right? There was always still mystery and still gaps. So you could never see, oh, this matches up here, or this ends because the river's there, or the wall's there. Like, I never saw it for such a long time.
But I really enjoyed maybe getting the last 30% of the light roots underground, just because at that point I had so many that you just look at the map and you're like, there's a little black spot over there, I'll fly over there, and then you get that one, and you mark all the spots that are missing on the map, and you just I'll go there, which in turn now, like, I won't need to look up a guide, I don't think, for doing the shrines above ground, because now I know where they all are, because we've got the ones underground.
And then it's 120 both up and below, and then more in the sky. So really, you only need to figure out the sky ones, and then So for those listening at home, me and Nick both have 120 light roots done. I've done 120 shrines, but I think there's 150 something shrines.
I think you've done a really good segue talking about the shrines. So you've done how many? You've done 120.
I've done 120 shrines, and they all kind of blurring together now.
No, I agree. And I agree because this is what I wanted to talk to you about. Because initially when we started talking about doing a spoiler cast, we're like, let's talk about our favorite shrines. No. I've done 100 shrines. You've done 120 shrines. We've talked about our underground experience. Tell me about your shrine experience.
Well, like there's some really awesome ones. And I think, I think a lot of people will say this, like at the start, you're like, how the hell am I going to do this, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and then like the start of the game, like, is this the right way? Mm-hmm. But the biggest thing is like, oh, that ability that just goes through the floor? That's the answer to like nearly everything. Mm-hmm. Right?
Or rewinding time.
Like, yeah. Like, obviously your abilities are always there. I think there was like 1 or 2 shrines. I can't really remember. Yeah. But like, and I'm like, did you explain to, like, I know sometimes you jimmy the puzzle the way, you jimmy your way in, right? Yep. But I'm like, did you explain what I was actually supposed to do? Like, because I know I didn't do it like the intended way in any way or even close to it.
Yeah.
And I don't remember you teaching me like the basic way first.
Yeah.
I think there was one, I can't remember there was one where you attach it and you sort of like make a paddle boat on either side. That was the end part. Right. But there was a middle section as well that I don't really understand what you were supposed to do.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. But Nick, like, what about there was no tests of strength, right?
Yeah,
like
there was.
Where you just fight one enemy.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Like the little mini guardian robots. Like there was different versions, like Eventide Island sort of style, where you lose all your abilities.
Yes.
What do you think of those ones?
I guess. My shrines in general. You're right. I had the same experience. The first 20 that I did, 30 that I did, just kind of fumbled my way through them, being like, is this how I'm supposed to do it? And just kind of like, and I just sort of make it through. And after you do, after you sort of fumble your way through enough shrines, you're like, oh, actually, fumbling and just kind of finding your own creative way to get through them is how you're supposed to get through them. I mean, maybe there's a recommended way, but yeah, I fumbled my way through a bunch of shrines. And now I feel like I've reached the point where you're right. All the shrines just kind of blend together. There's not really many that are overly unique or memorable. There's like a couple that I really enjoyed, but they were sort of the first sort of few where you build a vehicle, you're building whatever vehicle, or you're messing with time in a certain way, or you go through the ceilings and find your way through things.
Like they're all super creative and cool. You're like, wow, we say we fumbled through a couple, like really a couple of them, but most of them, like, you figure out the answer and you're like, wow, like I can do that. Like that's really awesome. It makes you feel really good. But what specific ones, like, I can tell you the last one I just did was like I think one of the first ones was like a golf sort of style where you had to lift. There was like this swinging concrete area you had to lift up. But now I just play like another one that's like a full on golf.
Yeah.
And there's like a Jenga one.
Oh, right. Yeah, well, there's like even like building the bridges or any way you had to build a certain type of vehicle or flying machine. There was like that. I really enjoyed the one where it was in like Death Mountain, and you create the big 4-wheel drive with the big wheels driving over all the lava and stuff. Or the first time you get to really use
like an F-Zero level, actually. I'll describe it as like a big giant race course.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah. I know the one you mean. It kind of reminded me of Trackmania almost.
Yes, that's it. Yes.
I think the shrines were maybe a little bit more memorable in Breath of the Wild, whereas this time I feel like they're not as hard to figure out. I feel like they're a lot easier this time. You walk in and you're like, okay, these are the tools they've given me. I have to get to there. Oh, okay. And you just sort of, you look at the building blocks that you've been given and where you have to get to, and you can kind of, I think I can figure them all out pretty quickly now. Or I've reached the point where I just run in and be like, I just want to get to the end. and just bypass it in whatever way possible.
It's always really satisfying when like there's like this big, open world puzzle, like you've done all this quest and then like unlocks the shrine. and the shrine's just like a treasure chest. You're like,
Yeah.
Thanks. I'm happy for my 1/4 heart reward or whatever. Like 1/4 blessing.
Yeah.
You're like, cool. I've got a teleport point. Like, yep.
Yeah.
I'm good. Thanks.
Well, speaking of, I mean, because all the shrines are kind of like, as far as Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are concerned, they've kind of replaced dungeons, but we do still have dungeons, like old style dungeons in this game. So, do you want to talk about, I guess, the 5 different main dungeons?
I think my first dungeon was the most memorable. The Zora one.
Okay.
Because you don't go underground, but you go into like this giant whirlpool area to solve that problem. There's the world sort of changes before you even get up to it, and then it's just like, how am I gonna get to that sky area? Like, how am I gonna get there? And then you figure your way out. Like, some of it's Zora armor. There was like some other more sky islands, and like, I thought, wow, like, this is the dungeon. Like, this is really cool. Like, it's low gravity. It's really big. Like, I can just see it goes up and up and up, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And the first time I had a little my buddy, like, it was all really, really cool. And I thought, this is the dungeon now. This is the dungeon now. And then I'm like, this is the dungeon, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And I liked it because giant high in the sky, and it made it really clear, like, hey, you got 4 objectives. They're over here. There's like 4 islands you can get to.
Yeah.
Go do it. And they're just like cool puzzles, right?
Yep.
And there's lots of puzzles, on the way as well. Like, that was really cool. And I liked that it was open air dungeon. The second one
didn't feel like a confined space. Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
I'm going to go through my dungeon experience. The second one, right? Just as awesome. Like, the the Rito area, getting to ship high in the sky, like, Tully's power, like flying really long distances, and you just keep going up and up and up again, like, really cool. Pirate ship, whatever, like, cool boss fights. We'll get to the boss fights later, but I'm like, enjoyable puzzles inside. The Thunder one, it was like, I'm inside something. I didn't have to go up to the sky to solve the dungeon.
Yep.
And like, it was fine, but I'm just like, it's kind of claustrophobic, and that felt like, maybe like an Ocarina of Time style dungeon a bit more to me.
Yep.
And then the one in the depths with Mineru, like, was that even a dungeon? Like, yeah, it was. But to me, it didn't feel like the others. Like I'm just like having a cool time in this mech area, and had these little puzzles on the side to get all like the body part pieces. The final dungeon for me was the Goron one, and I was just like, I'm over this. Like, I just want the ability. I already know I can go through the ceiling and just get there. I know I can, create bridges, or I can just go really long distances. I can just jimmy my way across to this whole point, like, to find the 4 things, and like the mine cart to like go in all different ways. I'm like, yeah, fuck that. Like, I can just get there.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, I'm not over the game, but I think I just gotten so good at the abilities and knowing the gameplay. And then, once you discover the thing where you can just, move the thing out, recall it, jump on to get anywhere.
Yeah.
I think it kind of died down, and because, the last 3 were inside instead of, the open air. I didn't love them as much, but you did them in a different order than me. So, you might have loved Goron Mountain a lot more than me. Like, Minecart's pretty cool. Like,
no, you're right, I agree. By the time you get to the last one, I mean, the last one for me was the Gerudos. You kind of you just get so good at abusing the systems of the game, and there's so much to do still, and there's so much that you want to do that you kind of just like, okay, yep, do the thing, yep, that goes there, yep, sweet, cool, okay, let's go. But you're right, I agree. I think for order of funness for me, it would be the Rito one first, then the Zora one, then the mech, then the Gerudo and the Goron one are just bottom feeder ones for me. That I mean, the Gerudo one maybe a little bit more moving the mirrors around and getting all the lighting in there, But
Yeah,
also,
actually, I forgot all about the mirrors. I love mirror puzzles. There's
Yeah.
one in the sky that's really fun.
oh yeah, I did that one too. Yeah, inside the big ball.
Yes,
yeah. I did that today. But yeah, and the same thing with, I mean, yeah, the Goron. It's kind of like its own little mini roller coaster ride. But something about doing the first one with. You're right. The first one has a special place for me in the Rito village, and like they tell the story of the ship and the hero, and then you're making your way sort of almost Super Mario style, bouncing up to the ship.
Mountain. Like it's really cool.
Yeah, and the music gets more intense the higher you go up, and there's more things going on, and there's more like I don't know, just effects. And by the time you get up there, it's like whoa, and you activate it, and you're running around. It felt very kind of Super Mario for me a little bit with the big Bowser ship.
Well, like you're jumping on the ships to make you jump extra high, right? Like it's cool.
Yeah,
and you still see the entire world. I think it's the seeing where you've come from.
Yeah,
right. Like
absolutely.
You can see, I have to get all the way up there. Like how the hell am I going to do that? You're like, whoa, I was all the way down there.
And you're like,
the other three don't have. The other three don't have that.
Oh, the Zora one does a little bit. You are up still pretty high with the Zora one as well. But
like that's why I like the Zora one because you can see where you've come from.
Yeah, and I think they just felt maybe because the other dungeons felt a little bit more samey. The Gerudo and the Zora felt the Gerudo and the Goron felt a little bit more samey to what we're used to, whereas the Zora and the Rito felt really new and different and something really cool. And I really enjoyed those two. I think the boss. The Rito boss is probably my favorite, and the other ones I think are kind of.
Do you want to talk about the bosses?
Yeah, we can talk about the bosses. But still loved the dungeons. I think the Rito and the Zora one were the standouts for me.
I think the Splatoon boss, the Splatoon boss and the Rito boss are I think still my favorites, and I think like the Rito one's cool because you're flying, right? You're diving, you're flying. And
it's like the first one.
I feel like cracking his crystal skull thing on his body, has crystals on his body, and then attacking him. It's also like it's a weak point, right?
Yeah.
But it's also not just like constant damage.
Yeah.
Like even in the depths when I've refought him twice, like it's really fun every single time because you're just expanding in this giant area. Your movement ability's awesome. You're dodging him. And you don't have to like keep whack. Like
I think
run out of arrows.
Yeah, I think probably one of the best bosses in the game. I wasn't a big fan of the Splatoon squid one. I think he just kind of looks sad and pathetic, and like when you're running through the ink and like having to clear it and waiting for your Zora ability to recharge so you can shoot the water forward. Like I ended up just pulling out like hydrants out of the little capsules and using those, but it just wasn't as fun for me. I did enjoy the Gerudo boss. It's not the Gerudo, the Goron boss, where you send Yunobo, whatever his name is. Yunobo, like zooming across the floor and then onto the ceiling and then smashing onto the
Sonic style.
Yeah, like I did enjoy that boss. I thought he was cool. Still, I think the Splatoon squid thing is my least favorite.
Oh wow, okay. I think I have some very good memories of like the second time I fought him in the depths, and I like sent out my little robot vacuums with fire hydrants.
Oh,
and like they just cleared the arena for me like constantly. Like he'd just walk past and he'd get wet, and then go into his flailing form. So it just felt like really cool. And then like another time I had unlocked the Yiga schematics for sprinklers.
Yeah.
And so you just place the sprinklers around the arena, and like it, the same thing. Like, it just felt really cool. Like, I'm so smart. I figured this out by myself. Like,
okay. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed him.
I don't think the other bosses have as many. Like they're fun, but do they have as many creative options?
No, you're right. No, I think you're right. Yeah, you're right. You do have to be a little bit more creative with the Zora one. I think that's probably why I didn't like it as much, because it required more effort as opposed to just more fun. But yeah.
Was there any other bosses in the game?
I guess
there's like the new frog thing.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about the new enemies. Do you want to talk about the new enemies?
Yeah. Well, actually, before we jump onto the new enemies, Nick, old enemies, the Talus. What's the stone guy?
Ah, yep.
The big stone.
Yep.
When the moment when you discover, like you're like, oh, I gotta, blow up his arms or whatever, and get to his back, and you're like, I can teleport through him just straight up.
Yeah.
Like that moment, I was just like, oh wow, like I broke the game. Like,
yeah,
no one else did this.
I didn't realize that until I fought maybe 4 or 5 until I came across one that had like his own little fortress attached to him or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I went through that ceiling and I was like, hold on, I wonder if I can go through the big rock. Oh my god. Yeah. Cool to see him come back and like in a different and creative way. I enjoyed the boss bokoblin. I thought they were cool. The weird little cave trolls the weird little cave trolls that were running around, they were pretty cool. But were there any really?
What are the cave trolls?
They were little sort of, I don't know, lanky dudes that crawled along the ceiling and.
So they are called Horriblins.
Horriblins.
And I hate the Horriblins.
Okay.
My first experience of them. I somehow avoided them for a really long time. Was in the final area before you fight Ganondorf.
Oh right.
Because I just liked exploring depths so much that there's you sort of squeeze into that final area like before.
Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of Horriblins there with all the the darkness. What's it called? Gloom. Yeah, and they just. Between the gloom, no health, these annoying screeching monkeys. I hated them.
You hated it? Oh, okay. I think I wasn't a big fan of the gloom hands. I feel like I never fully figured out how to how you're supposed to fight them properly, and always would just end up.
You just need to be strong.
I'd just run in, just overpower them, just whack, 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 and they'd all just slowly die. Not to mention they kept on grabbing my friends, my little summoned minions instead.
The ghost buddies.
Yeah, they grabbed the ghost buddies, so using them as bait, and then, not a big fan of them. What else is that? The Glucks or whatever they were, the 3-headed dragons, Gleeoks.
Oh, the Gleeoks. Before we get to Gleeoks, the real boss, let's talk about them in a second. Likes. I really enjoyed them. The rock one was easily my favorite. It just felt cool to throw it back at them.
Yeah, and I like the throwbacks of these are old enemies from old games, but coming back in a new way, I guess, if that makes sense. And they did remind me of the little slinky penis things from Ocarina of Time that stole your sword and shield or whatever it was.
Yeah, they're likes.
Yeah, the same. It's the same creature, is it? It's the same creature.
They're the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. Except I guess now they're attached to walls instead of slowly sludging towards you.
Towards you. The Gleeoks.
Yes.
Brand new boss, Nick. I was scared. The first Gleeok I found was in the snow area, I think. Hebra North area.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't do this. And then the one on Hyrule Bridge, I think I found that one. Is it Hyrule Bridge? Lake Hylia Bridge? I don't know. Whatever it is. I found that really early as well. But I'm like, yeah, I'm just here to go to the chasm. See you later. Like I'm not here to fight you.
Yeah.
But
I didn't fight with any of them until after I got the Master Sword. And so once I got the Master Sword, I'm like, okay, now I'll fight one of you. So I at that point I had 13 hearts, 14 hearts, I want to say. And I was like, yeah, I got this, and took an attack potion and just, I wrecked him. All my dying in the game was done in the first 10, 15 hours, and then
I love that, when you get to, the last quarter of his health, he goes to the sky.
Yeah.
And, throws, a giant meteor at you, if you're smart and you don't avoid it. Or, the thunderstorm comes, hurricane happens, or the icicles, and you got to rewind, recall, to get up there. Figuring out how to get him that last bit, the first time was really cool, really
satisfying. I agree. When you sort of geez, he's up really high. Rockets aren't going to get me up there. Springs aren't going to get me up there. How do I reverse time with this thing, or use his tornadoes against him, or Did you fight the three different element one, like the fire, lightning, and ice one?
Yeah, I've fought him quite a few times now, and like they're in really far away, hard to reach places up in the sky. Oh, there are lots of places, but like they're really high up in the sky. And I'm like, oh, I don't have any arrows, and like I don't know how else to kill him without arrows. So I put a teleport.
Right.
There. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, I'll come back to that because it was such a mission to get there.
Yeah, you're right. Yep. I really enjoyed fighting them as well. I think they were all really cool. Cool new bosses, cool new enemies. What else we got? Do we have anything else on there that's like side quests, exploring above ground? Maybe we could get those out because we could maybe save the duplication glitch. What's wrong with the game? What's good with the game? Afterwards.
I think there's like exploring, like there's still places I haven't been in Hyrule Map.
Yeah.
So many, right?
So many. Yep.
After 125 hours, still so many places I haven't been to.
Yep.
And I think at the start of the game, like probably even 60 hours, like like gonna climb this thing, gonna get to the top of this mountain.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, I don't want to use my resources to.
Yeah.
I know I can build a spring or whatever. Like I didn't want to build. I wanted to climb, and like that's so. And like then it would rain or something, and I didn't have sticky armor yet, or blah blah blah. Like
which still doesn't stick.
Yeah. Like just like use the resource. You have so many resources. Like use them because you're just gonna go. Hot air balloon. I'm there, right? Or super spring, or like
Yeah.
It's funny. Like you learn the Hylian pine cone, super gale, sky move. It's just a bit frustrating. There wasn't like more of a shortcut for that because to me in my mind,
you got to light a fire.
Getting those three items out, striking it, then gliding it, which probably takes 15 seconds, maybe at the very most, probably not even 10 seconds.
Too long.
I would rather sit there and climb for a minute, right? Like, and I don't know why you couldn't get around that, in the first half of the game for me.
Well, I know, I agree. I think it was because you had to like go into the menu and like, oh, where's my firewood? Yep, there it is. Cool. Now, where's my flint? Yep, cool. Top those out, light the fire, cool. Now go back in. Where's my pine cone? There it is. Hold the pine cone, drop the pine cone. Didn't land in the fire. Okay, grab the pine cone again, drop it in the fire, and fly up. Oh god, just not worth it.
Too many steps, like
too many steps.
Like Nick, like maybe like the controls right there. It's Nintendo games. Easy to play. Everyone can play. Hard to master. Like no, this game is. It's the most complicated control scheme of a Nintendo game I've ever played, without a doubt.
And they still haven't fixed it from the first one. And maybe it's because they already had the first one, and they're like, oh, people have gotten used to it now, so just keep it as is. Maybe, but surely they know that compared to other games, the controls of this really are quite just like awkward. Some of them really are just awkward.
The game has like I play the game in the Elden Ring claw grip because I swap jump and run. I don't know if I can actually demonstrate this, but yeah. I feel like my fingers over, like so I can run and move at the same time. I think that's it. So that's not good.
No. Almost like we need extra buttons, or even like how with some games you can push one of the triggers or the D-pad to cycle through different things. So like if you want to, instead of having down on the D-pad being whistle, have it be something that can maybe like cycle through your guardian abilities or something, or
the whistle ability, Nick. There's a whole button for that. It is wasted. Like I like weapon wheels. I like or like trigger modifiers or whatever. Hold this button and then all of a sudden the face buttons all do something different.
Yep.
Why did one button just whistle? And your horse. First of all, your horse sucks generally,
Oh,
right?
still
it can teleport you
sucks.
it doesn't teleport to you. Like maybe the armor is there and we haven't done it.
Maybe.
But like, okay, it doesn't teleport to you yet, but the horse will come to you maybe if it's nearby on the ground. But your horse can't come to you in the sky or in the depths, right? Like 2/3 of the game, that button is
Useless.
even more useless than it is on the ground.
Yeah.
Like, it just seems like a real missed opportunity to change something.
And let's be real. And let's be real. It's not a stealth game either. Like, how often are you crouching and sneaking up on enemies, or for horses, or I don't know.
Well,
butterflies.
on
Not
enemies,
that often.
hardly ever. Just butterflies.
Yeah.
and
So at that point, you're just using stealth potions, or you're using stealth armor. But I feel like if you could make L3 run click in L3 to run, and if you want to crouch, hold in L3, hold it for like 2 seconds, and then Link can crouch instead of having to. You can just tap L3 to run, and then if you want to crouch, maybe hold it down for like 2 seconds, and then he'll crouch. I feel like there's never an emergency like, I need to be crouched right now. There's a few things with controls that I think need to be changed, but yeah.
Whilst we're on a negative bandwagon, the menu, right? Like, who thought it was a good idea to have like the hot menu, quick menu? Great. Actually, you know what? I do like that. But is there like 150 resource items or something like that? Like, yeah, which you can fuse or attach. Like, even in the main menu, like, why is there only 3 ways to sort? Like, the one long row, it doesn't work.
Yeah, like why is there not there should be like a tab for like monster parts, and even then in monster parts you can search for horns, claws, talons, guts. From what I mean. Like, you can go monster parts and then you can search the individual parts, or you can go like creatures, lizards, butterflies, frogs, or food item, like cooking things to cook with. And then you've got like steaks, you've got your herbs, you've got your mushrooms, you've got your fruit, and just so many just put it all in the one pot, put everything in together, and it's like, man, like the game they've got a separate bit for Zonai parts, right? Yeah. But then they're part of the quick menu as well. The game is deep and complicated. So like adding a few extra menus in to make things a little bit more organized, I don't think that's going to confuse people. But anyway, we've reached our second break time, I think. Yeah.
Hopefully this is our last one after the break. Get all our negative comments out.
Yeah, let's get it all up. Let's get it up to that 2-hour mark, and then we're out. But we'll be right back.
Link.
All right, well, we're back. We're still talking Tears of the Kingdom, Nick, and we haven't scraped on this topic yet. Amiibo, Nick, still the best implementation of Amiibo in a Nintendo product for me personally,
by far.
Did you tell me about your Amiibo experience?
Well, first of all, I'm glad they were still in it, and still use the same. I was a little bit disappointed that you scan them and get cloths initially, but no, they work the exact same way as they do.
The cloths were my favorite part.
I'm glad they still work the same way they did in Breath of the Wild. So when the game first started and I got down to the ground, I scanned them all. I'm like, oh, I'm getting nothing but like trash. I'm not getting good weapons. I'm not getting good shields or anything. But as you progress further in the game and as you get more things, it gives you better items further on. So like eventually you'll start getting shields that have like 65, points to it and all that sort of stuff. So I'm glad they work the exact same way as what they used to. For the first maybe 2 weeks of playing, I scanned them every day for resources, and that was my way of getting money. I would get all the meat and then cook all the meat and then sell all the meat. And I scan them a lot for weapons and shields and everything, but I'm glad they're still in it. What about you?
Yeah, like I'm like you. I think I scan them every day for the first couple of days. You know, we gotta. There's a lot of these, right?
Yep.
I took them to Lockie's house. He's like, "Oh, can you bring your amiibo?" You know, whole Kirby bag.
Yeah. Does he not have the amiibo?
No, because they're in South Australia.
Right.
So yeah, I brought the whole bag over, and then I personally haven't used it again since. Early game, awesome. Because you're right, resources like cooking stuff. Like I don't like cooking, but like cooking stuff and like just health items, like stuff to power up your outfits and stuff. Like it's really good.
Yeah.
I think, you know, once I started getting like the outfit rewards because of Breath of the Wild, I'm like, yeah, I know how expensive and hard these are to power up, so I didn't really get excited over them. And then I think when I realized the depths rewards are amiibo outfits, or, you know, like it's a double up, right? I'd be like, oh, it kind of ruined the specialness for both the reward in the depths
and the
amiibo.
Yeah.
Right? Like I just stopped caring about both. Like I found every treasure map so far.
Yeah.
And plenty of others. But I liked the gliders. I think the gliders were like the rare chance, right, from the amiibo, because you wouldn't get it every time. You know, it'd be luck. So I really liked all the gliders that they gave, and that was really cool. But yeah, I wish more games used amiibo like this.
I switched to Zelda's glider, and then that's the one I've used for the whole game. I haven't gone back. I've got maybe like 20 different cloths, but I haven't changed it at all. It's like a Hyrule Kingdom.
Twilight Princess one was my favorite.
Oh, nice.
I think it glowed as well.
But I think, tell me if you don't want to talk about this now, but I feel like this is a good segue. Yeah, you're right. For the first like 3 weeks, because how long has the game been out now? Has the game been out a month? 3 weeks?
I think this is 3 weeks.
It's been out 3 weeks. So yeah, the first 2 weeks was Amiibo City. I scanned Amiibos every day for the items to use for cooking, to use for upgrading armor, until I started doing the duplication glitch around probably 60 hours of gameplay. So this needs to be talked about big time. I have a lot to say, I think, about the duplication glitch and how it changes the entire game. The entire game it changes.
It does, yeah. I beat the game before, well, I think I beat it before the duplication glitch existed. Or the only one I had heard about was, you know, you've got to, you know, use your bow and arrow, you got to press start, you know, or plus, like, really fast. Does one item, you got to fuse the item or whatever, like, you know, combine it with your arrow, like, just really, it, like, I'm like, I don't want to break the game. Like, it didn't sound worth it. Yeah. I didn't care. Yeah. And then when they decided to, they patched it out. And then I read about the paraglider one where it's 5 items at a time, like up to 20. And I'm just like, oh, no, I don't need it. But I'm like, oh, they're taking it away now. I'll just try it out. Like, and I didn't feel bad because I beat the game. Like, Nick, I spent 4 hours, probably, at least, jumping off this tiny edge near the ferry, right? Duplicating everything.
Yeah.
Like, running out of money, and then realizing, like, oh, I've never found yellow choo-choo jelly. I've never found a fire lizard tail. I've never picked up, the fire lizard foss tail or horn or whatever. Whatever enemy's guts I had never got. But anyway, I had spent like 4 hours just duplicating everything. I reckon I'm up to like 120 diamonds, I reckon. But like the thing is though, I've run out of money continuously, right? I run out, and I run out of diamonds to power up. Like, so I've sat there going through the amazing animations of powering up your weapons with a fairy, your armor with a fairy. But like the first time's cool, but like there's no way to skip all this stuff, and it's so tedious
Dun,
to
dun,
do
dun, dun.
the duplication thing, right? Well, the way I do it, it's just like, climb up this hill, jump off, do the thing. It might work maybe 2 out of 3 times, I'd say.
Oh wow. Okay.
Like it didn't work guaranteed for me every single time.
Oh, it does for me.
And a couple times where I'd like, I'll release the lizards or the butterflies, and like, that was a massive fail. And then that was my only lizard or my only butterfly of that thing, and like they're gone. And then I'm just surprised. Like, you would have to choose your preferred outfit, I guess, right, and work towards that. Whereas now I've got, I still don't have all the outfits, but like now I've powered up most of them, right?
Yep.
And I'm still 125 hours in, and like I couldn't imagine, like there's not enough diamonds in the game or time, for you to do it all. Like, how do you get enough money to do? I guess you can't power up an outfit, so you can't afford it, so you're not wasting that money. But yeah, like, and then I spent probably 20,000 rupees on doing the compendium, the photos. I'm like,
Yep. Done.
I don't have to worry about this anymore. Done.
Yep.
There's no reward.
Yep.
For doing that. But
No, and
anyway,
so
that's my duplicate. Like, but I was obsessed with it at the start. For 90 hours.
Yep.
But I'm like, I've done this for 90 hours. I've tried my best. I'm duplicating, and you know what? I'm too afraid to turn the game off. I'm too afraid that I'll go back into the Switch and I'll hit the install now instead of, start software.
Yeah.
And I'm still duplicating things. As I need it.
The fear of God has been put into me of not wanting to, like, if the game crashing or, you know what I mean? Like, and being forced to restart the game and having that update installed, because I have abused the crap out of this duplication glitch. And one of the things you touched on is you said you didn't feel bad because you finished the game. And once I started and realizing, how easy it is, you don't even find a little hill, something to climb on. You just find a little hill, and I jump 2 meters off the ground, paraglide and combine and toss it on and pick it all up. But I don't feel bad because, like, I already upgraded all of this stuff in Breath of the Wild. All these armors, like most of the armor sets, I already had and I already upgraded. And I wasted hours and hours in Breath of the Wild farming only to have all that disappear. And like I played 60 hours of the game before I started doing the duplication glitch. And I in that 60 hours, I wasted hours and hours and hours waiting for, the blood moon to rise. So then everything would respawn and I could go back to my little farming areas to try and upgrade the armor that I wanted to upgrade. And I'm like, you know what? I feel like I've done my time with games, not just Zelda, but just all games in general. I hate farming. Farming is literally just padding and a waste of time it's farming. It's not fun. I don't know who out there enjoys, like you said, you've spent 20,000 rupees. I reckon, doing the compendium and then upgrading all this armor. That is dozens and dozens of hours of not fun gameplay by the end. It is literally just boring ass farming that I don't want to be a part of. And and if I have the option to jump off a rock and make 5 diamonds appear, I'm going to jump off a rock and make 5 diamonds appear. And so I did the same thing. I found a little hill to jump off and would just duplicate everything. And most it incentivized me to run and find all the armor. I've found most of the armor now. And upgrade all of it fully just cause. And to, get the game back up to where I was in Breath of the Wild. But not just that, just for like weapons, saving weapons breaking all the time, which after Breath of the Wild, I'm kind of over a little bit now. Like, I don't really care what weapon I have because I have no loyalty to the weapons. So once they break, I'm like, cool, I'll get a new one. But at least now having stronger weapons that I can just, create, I don't know, Lionel horns and equip them to my swords and just have things die quicker. You know what I mean?
I think once they discovered I'm just going to duplicate the strongest Lionel horn, and it's the strongest by the fuse power level or whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
I just attach that to every weapon, and it's it's like, has it ruined the reward for like story quests and like other things? Like, I don't.
No.
Like, yeah, okay. Oh, what? I got a ruby. Like before, I would be excited because I'd be like, oh man, am I going to attach that to like the ruby rod, like make it a ruby rod, or am I going to use it to power up an armor?
Yeah.
Or like, but now it's just like, oh, a ruby, whatever. But like, I still want to do the quests. Like, I still want to help all the people or do the things, right?
I agree. Yep, I'm the same. I still want to do all the quests. I still want to help all the people. But now I feel like I don't have to be desperately hunting for items anymore. And so it's brought something to my attention, which I've put as the next topic as to what is wrong with the game. And I think because with the DLC with Breath of the Wild, you got a motorbike, and it was just like, hey, your horse sucks. Your horse never comes to you, so here's a motorbike, which you need to refuel.
You know what?
But here's a motorbike.
In the DLC, they gave you the motorbike and like the teleport horse armor.
Yeah.
Like they kind of ruined it. Like why give you the teleport horse armor when you got a motorbike that teleports to you? Like it's
and so it reached the point where once I realized I could duplicate the capsule items as well, to then like I've that has been my favorite thing, more than creating diamonds, more than anything else, is like, I want to get somewhere. Cool, I'll find a little hill to jump off. I'll duplicate 3 fans, a bird, 2 rockets, and a joystick. And just, there we go. There's my vehicle. Now I'll fly everywhere. So instead of summoning a bike like I was in Breath of the Wild, I now find a little cliff to jump off, create the items that I need to create a vehicle that I want, and then fly. As opposed to what I think is wrong with the game of like just finding the parts to a vehicle, like finding the schematics and then just having access to that vehicle, or having like 5 favorites and just being able to create what you want to create without having to like need the resources for it. Man, like that has been something that has been on my chest that I've wanted to talk to you about for ages, because I feel like once you find something, I feel like you should have it. Like once you find the rocket, you should just have the rocket. Once you find the bird, you should have the bird. Once you find the fans, you have the fans. But I feel like, I mean, I still would have loved the game being a 10 out of 10 without the duplication glitch. But with the duplication glitch, I'm having an 11 out of 10 amount of fun now that it's taken out all the grind, all the farming, all the boring stuff, and it's nothing left but fun and exploration for me. And I'm so glad that it's in there, and I never want the game to update. Sorry, I'm done.
I think I'll be like, I'm waiting for the day of, the 1 week of having this glitch, right? Like,
yeah.
And I'll press the button. I'll be like, I had my fun, thank you. I'm happy to keep playing the game, like to get all the shrines or do whatever else I want to do. I remember in Breath of the Wild, I was trying to power up armor and try to find the Corsa bee honey or something. And it would only spawn in like a couple trees.
Yeah.
Or and you'd have to go around to like all these different areas, or I haven't bothered to encounter the random dragons very often, right?
Yes.
I've got the scale or whatever. But before, to power up a lot of those armor sets, you had to get 6, dragon fangs of this one dragon. Yep. And he only spawns every other night or whatever. And so it feels so good. Like once I've got one of those parts, you
have as many as you want.
I've only duplicated probably 6 or 7 or whatever. A few, right? I haven't. A lot of the armor sets I've powered up haven't needed them, but I'm I don't have to farm the dragon parts, right? Which are really tedious.
Funnily enough, I mean, you're right. One thing that I did, because I looked up how to farm the dragons, but if you, say, get a scale off them, you just wait 10 minutes and then you can shoot them again. So the amount of times I'd then pick up my phone and watch something and then, it's been 10 minutes, sweet, and then farm another material. So that's how I did it, and it was a little bit tricky.
You know how I discovered that time?
How's it?
Because I rode one of the dragons down the depths.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I had already explored all that area of the depths anyway, but I'm not getting off this dragon ride.
Yeah.
Except to I wonder if I could shoot him again.
Yeah.
And the second part came off. I'm like, yes. And then I somehow managed to dive down. And then, get back up and ride the dragon out of the depths. And that felt so cool.
So I mean, I've said a little bit what I think is wrong with the game. Do you have any complaints of what you think is wrong with the game? Or things that you would...
I think the controls could be improved. The menu UI of just the amount of resources, I think, is very frustrating. Auto build, like, okay, cool. Here's this auto build thing, right? Like, building's kind of tedious, right? Like, like when I do it, when I'm in like a puzzle, like in a shrine, like I love building whatever. I love helping the Hudson sign guy. Sometimes when I'm in the environment, I'm just like, am I supposed to do something? Is this just here? I didn't love it. And then auto build gives you like 8 favorites,
like something like that. Yeah,
that's it. Like that's not enough.
That's not enough.
Only 8 favorites. Like, if you build like a torrent, a motorbike like thing, or a flying vehicle, like, I know that's 3, but like my favorites were like full all the time. Like,
yeah, no,
like,
mine
I
were.
discovered this cool thing.
Yeah.
So I felt like that could be made better somehow. And you know what? Like, find a way so I get less distracted by every single gameplay element, because, you know, I'm going to cash in my shrines, my heart pieces or whatever. I'm going to this dungeon. Oh, I'm on a quest. Cool. The thing is like 200 meters just at the west entrance of the town. Like, you know, it's just there. You just need to go there. I'm like, cool. Oh, shiny thing. And like, you know, all the depths, all the sky. I'm like, oh yeah, I was in Kakariko Village just trying to find something. Like,
yeah, you're right.
So I know that's a positive, but it's crazy
so
how
hard.
you couldn't stay focused.
Yeah,
like, I know it is a good thing, but like, you couldn't stay focused on that one task that you set out to do.
I'm looking forward to. They did it in the first one, but like the girlfriend reviews where it talks about, oh yeah, I just need to get from here to here by going to here, like you go everywhere else but where you're supposed to. Yeah, I agree. Staying focused is very hard.
They improved cooking, but I still, I didn't want to use, like, I didn't mind cooking food. Great. It's like the monster parts, like make elixirs and stuff. Like, I'm like, no, those things are used to power up armors.
Yeah.
What? Like, I didn't want to use those things. And so I never, like, you know, and then once you, like, the game really encourages you to make elixirs and use monster parts and stuff. But like getting the lizards and butterflies, I think on the frogs are a bit easier, but like, I think they're essential to make elixirs, I think.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And they're actually quite hard to get for, like, you know, if you're not really looking for them. Yeah. And so I wasn't encouraged to use the elixirs, and like, you're like, oh, I'm just gonna use all my money to buy the winter, like the armor set or the flame armor set or like whatever. So I'd have to change, like, so I don't have to worry about elixirs or worry about, you know, freezing or, you know, melting to death or whatever. Yeah. And I felt like that kind of, like, it takes away gameplay elements as well, because like probably making those elixirs is probably actually really smart, but I didn't want to do it because it just wasn't effortless.
Oh, I wish you could have more than one elixir active at a time as well. Like,
yes,
like the amount of times, just because, like you said, I feel like just that tediousness of it, of having. Like, oh, I'm in the desert, and during the day the desert's hot, and at night the desert's cold, and like having to pause the menu, go into switch the armor. Yep, okay, cool. And if it wasn't upgraded, if I wasn't abusing the duplication glitch, I'm like, oh great, now I'm weak as piss again. I'm exactly the same strength. I'm wearing the same strength armor I was when I started the game, when I first landed in Hyrule, even though I've played for 60 hours, because I haven't upgraded the heat, you know, the heat armor set or the ice armor set or the. You know, I feel like this is something I feel like should have been changed. Is I feel like, say, it should have been more like a typical RPG. I guess, you know, it's Nintendo and they want to create all their different armor sets and be unique to Zelda or whatever. But if I'm climbing, like stamina, I want to have, you know, more stamina. why can I not put points into increase my climbing speed? Why can I not put more points into increasing my aerodynamic? Why can I not put more points into increasing my heat resistance, increasing my cold resistance, increasing my running speed? Like increasing my attack, increasing my defense. Why are all these things I have to go in and equip specific armor sets for? And like, oh, I don't have all the pieces of the armor. Oh, now that I'm wearing the armor, but it's piss weak, and I've got 10 defense again. Oh, great. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? These are things that I feel like it's not fun anymore. And thanks to the duplication glitch, I don't have to worry about that anymore. And it's just, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know if people would agree or disagree, but as soon as I'm wandering around, it's like, oh, it's cold, and I start slowly losing hearts. I'm like, I've got enough hearts. I'm not pausing the menu to go and
take it.
I'm not going to put that fucking armor on until I'm like, oh, sweet, I'm close to death. Sweet, I'll open it up, eat a meal that gets me full hearts back, and I'll keep, because it's too much effort to go and change the armor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. And then I think, like, I love skydiving, right? Like, skydiving doesn't get old, but like the skydiving armor set lets you skydive, and like I think it actually lets you move like horizontally faster in the environment than gliding does, right?
I think so.
But like you've got to, I've got to equip it, and then I think the frustrating bit, early game is cool. It's so cold, right? But like the winter armor's shit, and you have to go to the fire area to find the hot items to make that the winter armor like feel warm. So you're like, oh well, I didn't go to Goron Mountain till the very end of the game, right?
Yeah.
So like and so many areas are cold, so my winter armor was like crap.
Yeah.
which is frustrating, and and I didn't want to take 10 seconds out to find something to make a potion that only lasts 6 minutes. Or 3 minutes or whatever. And then you're right, you have to filter through all the pieces because I'm like, I can't mix and match. Like I only can use cold things or neutral things. Like,
and that's
I think good and bad.
Yeah, I think before the duplication glitch came along, the game was still a 10 out of 10 for me. And then once I started doing it, I'm like, the game is an 11 out of 10. But if you took away the glitch, 1 hour, 2 hours into me being like, oh my God, this changes everything. I'm then having a 5 out of 10 fun. Like, just because of all the things I've already gone through and explained, it takes away so much more of the tediousness of the game that I didn't want to have to worry about. And like rupees, like the amount of, I've spent 50,000 rupees in this game. There's no way I'd ever get 50,000 rupees. I reckon legitimately I've earned maybe 5 to 10,000 rupees.
Rupees are so rare, right? And like, then maybe the game encourages you to use the elixirs and stuff because the outfits are so expensive, right? I'm sure they're priced higher than the original game for sure, or the elemental ones anyway are.
Anyway, so I feel like I've been holding in that stress of like needing to tell you about how much the glitch changed my life and made the game so much better for me. I've been holding it in for so long. I feel like I've been drowning a little bit now. I've just been able to breathe.
Nick, you know what? You'll pick up your Switch. You'll be like, back to Zelda. I'm going to finish the last few shrines. Oh no, I hit,
hit update.
Go. And you'll be like, well, I've already got 28, diamond piece headdress or whatever. Like,
yeah. Oh, if they took it away, if I accidentally upgraded it now, I'm good. I'm fine. But I've just used it so much that it made the game so much better, and it's taken away so much like tedious effort and tedious pain. That But anyway,
I just find it funny that I've spent 4 hours just sitting there jumping off duplicating. 4 hours, like that to me is like, that's grinding, right?
Yeah.
Imagine if I was doing that in the actual game.
The alternative is 40 hours. It's unreal. Anyway, that's enough negativity from me. Sorry. So that was one of the topics. I was like, what's wrong with the game? But the next topic is what's so perfect about the game. Just go. Tell me.
We've been over the distraction stuff, right? Like how awesome it feels. But it's we did bum around on the shrines a bit. Like, like, was this the right way? But it feels like I'm the only one that did it this way. Like, I did stuff. Like, this wasn't the right way, but like, I still did it. I cheated the game. Like, no, the game didn't give me, the cheating tools. No, I cheated it. Like, it just feels like you were smart and you figured it all out.
Yeah.
And like, it is just whoa. Like, I know the game leads you down this path. Like, whoa, I discovered that chasm. I discovered that cave. Like,
yeah,
I did that. I investigated this thing and like, I found it. Like, yeah,
I love the little jingle when you discover something new. But
discovery
it feels good. Yeah.
Oh, the other musical cue that I just love, Nick.
Mm.
Of going into the depths. And
right, yeah.
I can't make the piano deep sound.
Yeah.
But just the discovery sound of going into the depths, like, it just felt so good. But yeah, it's endless discovery, and I feel like it's even more discovery than Breath of the Wild was, right?
Yeah.
And then just like you've got it on the depths, the ground, and then even this, like, we haven't really talked about the sky that much. Like,
it's not a whole lot up there.
How am I going to get to that? How am I going to get to that sky island? Like, there's no backwards time rock to get me up there just willy nilly. Like, I've got to figure out what sort of flying machine, rocket propulsion thing I can do to get there. And then, I've saved so many screenshots of just like, I'm gonna make it. No. Like, and even falling and failing is just like, yeah, well,
I'll come back
later. Here's a new area on the ground that I haven't been to. I'll keep going.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, even when I discovered the, I still don't know where the Hylian shield is, and you've got like 20 just sitting on your backpack.
I do now.
like discovering the Master Sword, right? Before I knew, like, I thought Zelda was going to turn into a dragon, but like, before I saw all the story cutscenes about it, like, I didn't get all the Tears of the Kingdom, and like, I got the Master Sword for it first, and just discovering the light dragon in the sky, which I'd never really noticed, or I just thought it was a different dragon, but like, I'm going to get there. I can do it. And then you're discovering the Master Sword, or like, you say you felt you did it right because you saw the story, and I say I did it right because I discovered this. Like, no one told me to do it. I just found it, and like that's the entire game, right? Like, us sharing stories of how we've done stuff differently, or helping each other. Like, I don't want to go to the internet guide to help me. Like, I want to ask you, right?
Yeah,
have you done this thing?
Yeah,
it's more fun, right?
It is way more fun.
I'm smiling thinking about it all, like, and I keep going. But yeah, so what makes this game perfect for you, Nick? Like,
well,
is it perfect?
It is.
Besides duplicating,
now I can't go back. Now I feel, you know what I mean. Like, I can't take that information away. But anyway, moving on from that.
Nick, you know what? I've got a very mild distraction. I feel like, you can't go back.
Go.
Played Age of Empires, 20 years ago or whatever it was. And like, I was really good at the game. Could build wonders, like do whatever. And then you discover the cheats. And the cheats are like, 1,000 items. And I remember the like pepperoni pizza, Woodstock, Quarry, Coinage or whatever. And they're like, once I discovered them, I could never not cheat again.
Yes, you're right. And it's the same thing with Tears of the Kingdom for me. Like, instead of having to sit there for an hour and be like, all right, let's farm some wood. No, I want to build things. I want to create an army. I want to demolish and conquer. Yeah, anyway. I remember we spent quite a bit of time talking about who did it the right and wrong way with getting the sword.
Oh, but Nick, we got 9 minutes left. Is this? I think this
will
be the last one.
We'll be fine. But yeah, and I was thinking about that quite a bit, about how there's no right or wrong way to do anything, and I tried to put myself in your shoes of just running around and like, see if I can get on that light dragon. You get on the dragon, then oh my god, the Master Sword! Just like finding it early without knowing how, where, or why it came from, it would have been just like, oh my god, I found the Master Sword. Why is this here? I don't know. Which, like, I feel like that would have been such an amazing experience for you. And so I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? No, I can't take that away from him. Mine felt like, I mean, a little bit slower, a little bit further behind, but like seeing the pieces put together of finding all the tiers, and like that was one of the first objectives that I wanted to do. Is I wanted to, that was like the top of my to-do list. But obviously, as you know, the best thing about the game is how you get lost in that world. And so that was the top of my to-do list. I wanted to get all the tiers of the kingdom. I wanted to get all the memories and all my distractions along the way. So it was kind of like my first main objective before the sages, before anything else. And to see that last memory and to see Zelda eat the stone, turn into a dragon, realize she has the sword. I'm like, oh my god, I need to find that dragon. I need to get that sword. That felt really cool to me. To like,
were you able to find her straight away? Was it just randomly in the sky for you, or?
No. Once you find all those memories, and then she cries that last tear where all the silent princesses are. You watch that memory, and then you see her in the sky.
She flies away at that spot.
Yeah, and so I was like, I know exactly where I'm going, and then got the sword straight away. But I think for me, what's so perfect about the game is, like I said, just how lost you get in this world. And like, it's a different kind of gameplay to God of War. They're like vastly different games. I think I still, like, I love God of War's story and just how emotional that was and how intense it was and how epic it was at the end when it hit Ragnarok. But just like the moment-to-moment gameplay in this is so calming and so relaxing, but at the same time so thrilling and so like, I'm so alert and like I need to go do this thing, and then I'm going to do that and that. But before I do those things, I'm just going to quickly go over here, and then I'm going to do that, and then okay, I'll add that to the list. But just getting lost in the world and hearing all the little musical cues and all the little throwbacks to all the old Zeldas and just all the new things that they've created and discovering things and creating things, but just getting lost in that world and the quiet little piano cues and the breath. You can still hear the breath of the wild as you're running around. For me, that's just getting lost in this world and lost in this game is just so addicting and so I'm just captivated the whole time I played it. It's so good. I cannot praise it enough.
Like, can we talk about the addiction, right? Like, no, we love video games, right? Clearly,
yes.
We're talking about it for 2 hours, but
yes.
Like, I don't know. Like, we both took time out of our lives, our work, to play this game, and I played it 10 days straight. Somehow I didn't get my crazy eye twitch, thing when I get too obsessed. Like,
too focused for that.
Very grateful for that. But like, I didn't want to do anything else, and it was never tedious. Like, I'm sure there's some bits in God of War I'm like, oh, dead again against this fight or whatever. You're like, oh, I gotta go all the way over here. I was just over there like I just wanted to keep going, and there wasn't any. Like, yeah, there was parts of the story that would keep you going, right? But the gameplay would just keep you going as well. Like, I couldn't stop for 10 days.
Yeah, and if you got bored, if you wanted a change of scenery, you're like, oh, I'm sick of the land. I'm going to go underground. Oh, I'm going to see what's up in the sky for a while now. No, back to the ground, back to the underground, back to the sky. It just, I was the day I forgot to brush my teeth. You know what I mean? Like,
you said you didn't want to make food, I think, or you didn't want to eat.
Yeah, it was the same thing I had with from when we played Elden Ring. Like that level of addiction where I'm like, I could just order Uber Eats. I could just get a pizza delivered to my door. I wouldn't have to get up. I'd just quickly run to the front door, and then I could eat it in between loading screens, and everything would be fine. And like, it's the same here. Like, I'd get up, I'd make my breakfast, I'd sit down, and then my breakfast would go all shit ass while I'm playing, and I'm like, I'll eat it when the screen loads. Oh, good. 10 seconds? Okay. And in those loadings, like, thank God there are loading screens in that game, because if there were not loading screens, I might have died.
You wouldn't check your phone.
I wouldn't check my phone. I wouldn't eat. Like, that was the 10 seconds that it took to load would be my 10 seconds. I'm like, I need to take a piss and teleport. Whiz. Back to the camera.
The loading was like, it's noticeable, but it wasn't annoying. Like, it wasn't unbearable. Yeah. Like, it gave you a little break. Like, my lifestyle was like, unless I've got to do gym, walk the dogs, do all my chores, like, and then 8 a.m. I can start. If I didn't do those things, they'd miss out for that day and that night. Like, it's just nuts.
Yeah, just nuts. So incredibly good. So good.
Best game ever, 11 out of 10. I'm sad that, will it be another 6 years before we get a Zelda or a game this good? I don't think this can be beaten. Like, between God of War's, polish, storytelling, and this, Resident Evil 4's action,
they're just, what a year.
Does it get any better?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
But I don't know. So we've got 2.5 minutes left, and the things left on our topic list are, we wanted to talk about there not being any Guardians. We wanted to talk about why there's no Triforce in this game, but I don't know. But we also want to talk about
Hylia or whatever, Raru's wife. She got the Triforce tattooed on her.
But I also wanted to talk about what's left for us to do, and But I don't know. Maybe we could keep going, but I feel like 2 hours is we can't really do much longer than that.
I think I'm at my limit, Nick.
Yeah, but there's still so much left for us to do. I've got 100 shrines, you've got 120. I've only done
Tarrytown.
Yeah, I've only done 2/3 of the shrines. 2/3, and it's just to think how much more we've got to go is unreal. But man, what a game! What a game! I don't know
the shrines. I think the shrines is the ultimate goal. I don't know if I'll do every side quest.
Oh, I did all my side quests today. That's what I did today. I got no side quests left. As far as what I already unlocked.
You'll have to check a list, I guess, in the end.
Yeah, I will, yeah.
Who am I kidding? I probably will.
Yeah.
Still plenty more game to go, even after 125 hours.
Yeah. There was some long side quests in there too. There was some long side quests in there. Like all the stables and then that Gerudo thing with the balls. Oh god.
I haven't done all the stables.
Oh yeah, I did all the stable quests with Find Zelda and the balls and the Gerudo thing. Oh, wait till you do that. Anyway,
have you done that one?
I
got 4 or 5, and there was one. I got one of the balls to the desert before I even unlocked Gerudo Town, and then it the world reset.
Yeah,
and then I was just wasted my time.
No, I did some long ass side quests today. But anyway, thank you for watching this longest episode ever of the Nick and Jeff show, talking about Tears of the Kingdom. Let us know in the comments what we missed. Let us know what you loved, what you hated, if we were wrong about some things. If you want to hear us talk about more Zelda, we wanted to also talk about we also wanted to talk about what's next for Zelda. Maybe we'll do another podcast when we've done 100%, just with our final thoughts of it all. But that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
You'll never do 1,000 Koroks, Nick.
Never. But thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You can find us on your favorite podcast services and on youtube.com/NickandJeff and facebook.com/NickandJeff. That's it.
All right. Night, Nick, and go to bed.
Night, Jeffrey. Love you. Bye.
Love you. See ya.
Okay, let's go! But you are not alone.
Link. You are our final hope.